Welcome to the Under 8 Podcast, a daily college basketball show brought to you every weekday in under 8 minutes. At the time of recording, it is Thursday, November 30th at 11:30 p.m. My name is Josh Mullenix. On today's pod, the Big East Big 12 battle delivers on a Thursday night, and Angel Reese returns for LSU. It's all right now on the Under 8 Podcast. 82-64, the number 7 LSU Tigers beat the number 9 Virginia Tech Hokies. Angel Reese is back. Josh, 19 points on 5 of 10 shooting. Went to the free throw line 16 times, but 19 and 9, and jumps right back in there in a top 10 win for LSU.
Yeah. 2 Final Four teams from last season. Virginia Tech had a 7-point lead at the end of the first quarter. Then LSU decided they wanted to take matters into their own hands, and that was the ball game. On a very basic level, they just started playing better defense. They ran better offense for the last 3 quarters. They got better shots when they went on this huge run to take the lead and kind of put the game out of reach. When Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore aren't phenomenal, Virginia Tech just has a hard time playing with the best teams in the country because either they have Caitlin Clark or in the case of an LSU, in the case of a South Carolina, there are just so many weapons. And Virginia Tech just doesn't have that many weapons. And then you also have a player foul out in the first half, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's less than ideal. Yeah, there was a lot going on, obviously, with Angel Reese coming back. LSU dominated the offensive glass as expected, and convincing win, 700th for Kim Mulkey in her career.
Yeah, it doesn't take, to your point about the Hokies having a very specific avenue to beating good teams. Georgia Moore, Kitley, 11 of 24, 6 of 16. Nobody else took more than 10 shots, and only one player other than that took more than 7. So, and then when you look on the LSU side, it's Reese 5 of 10, Morrow 8 of 17, Williams 9 of 15, Johnson 6 of 13. You just kind of go down the list and the weapons are there. And of course, when you bring somebody like Angel Reese back into the lineup, you just get that much scarier. But it's it makes sense. I think the box score paints the right picture for an 18-point win for LSU. Big East 12. All right, go ahead.
Final thing I'll say real quick, because I didn't get to talk about this on our first show that we had technical difficulties with Wi-Fi when they lost to Colorado. The reason this team was number 1 preseason, this reason this team has so much hype from a basketball standpoint, is because you brought in 2 potential All-American caliber transfers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because now Michaela Williams is also playing ridiculously well as a freshman. The challenge is going to be figuring out, now that they are finally all on the floor together, how to make this work and whether you can actually maximize all these players. It's a similar thing to what Bill Self is facing on the Kansas men's side, right? They're number one preseason team in the country because of the returners plus the additions, but they haven't been able to get all of them to come together and do what they're capable of. That's the question facing Kim Mulkey moving forward now is, can you fit all these pieces together in a way that actually gets the most out of all of them, or that you're willing to make the sacrifices you have to figure out the formula? That's what I'm really curious about.
Another team with a ton of weapons on the men's side is the Creighton Blue Jays. Creighton, I didn't think I was going to have to do this with Creighton this year when they were going to score less than 50 points in a game. And now I'm just kind of nervous all the time, but ultimately not a big deal on this particular night. 79-65, the Blue Jays beat Oklahoma State. Ryan Kalkbrenner 16 and 12 on a less than efficient night for someone of Ryan Kalkbrenner's status, 6 of 15, but it was the guards who were really, really, really good in this game. Stephen Ashworth, 6 of 9, 17 points, 5 assists, 4 of 5 from the 3-point line. Baylor Shireman and Trey Alexander, they combined for 41 on 15 of 28 shooting, 15 rebounds for those two guys as well. 79 points, 52% from the field, 52% from the 3-point line. Those are the numbers I want from a unit that I coined possibly the best unit in all of college basketball this year.
I feel like you got to give Oklahoma State credit for hanging in there.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, halftime, it looked like it might turn into a blowout, and credit Oklahoma State, they came out with a really good start to the second half. But if you give me the 10 and 19 from 3 and you give me the field goal percentages for those players, it's not a 14-point game. It's a 25-point game, especially with Oklahoma State's offensive struggles this year. But they've had some bad losses, but they did hang in there and at least stay within striking distance. They were never really threatening, but give them a little bit, at least a little bit of credit. Shout out Mike Boynton. The other thing here, you laid out the stats. I mean, when Creighton shoots the ball that way, they're probably not losing to anybody. I'm honestly kind of surprised they didn't break 80. But specifically Trey Alexander, getting him going again, close to home with a bunch of family and friends in attendance. He had a really rough couple games. That's part of the reason why they couldn't score the ball against Colorado State. Get him back into a rhythm. That's a really good sign. They are at their best, obviously, when all of these guys are playing well and complementing each other, and that's what you got tonight.
Definitely. I'm monitoring a little bit. Creighton is more than 100 spots lower in tempo this year, which is interesting with some of the guys that they have. Maybe that's part of it. They're 19th offensively right now. That's actually better than where they ended last year. But keeping an eye on them for sure moving forward. But on this particular night, not too many issues. Shouts to Javon Small, 24 points in this one on 8 of 17. That's the second time he's dipped into the 20-point range as a scorer. So good for Small. He's definitely the battery that kind of powers that offense if they're gonna keep up with teams and score enough points. Also in the Big East Big 12 battle, maybe the game of the night in terms of entertainment. Butler 103, Texas Tech 95 in overtime. Josh, this is the first time since December 30th, 2017, that Butler has put up triple digits on the scoreboard, and is the first time in almost 13 years, this coming December 4th, that Texas Tech has allowed 100 points in a basketball game. Very, very high scoring, lots of fun, and overtime win for Butler. That is now 6-2 on the season, with a handful of wins that are that you at least stop and take notice of.
Yeah, a couple of things here. One, the stat lines from this game, absolutely sensational.
Indeed.
Posh Alexander, triple-double. Joe Toussaint, 18 points, 12 assists. I mean, just phenomenal stuff. And then you got Jamil Telford, DJ Davis. They've got 51 combined points on 28 shots. It was spectacular just to look at the box score and see what some of these guys did. Mm-hmm. The other thing, as you mentioned, with the schedule and the quality wins here, yeah, Butler's losses are to Michigan State and Florida Atlantic, neither of which were at home.
Mm-hmm.
You now have 2 high major wins, granted not exactly premier high major wins, but Texas Tech and Penn State. Mm-hmm. You beat a very good Boise State team. This is substantially better than the past couple seasons. I'm still honestly not sure how good either of these teams are. Because Texas Tech is also, okay, they don't have any great wins. They've lost to the good teams they've played, but they haven't lost any bad teams, so I don't really know what to make of them either. Mm-hmm. But from a Butler momentum standpoint, boy, did they need a good start to this season to just get some confidence back, get some excitement back. And I know it's not a bunch of world beaters and that they're not 8-0 or anything, but this is a really, really good starting point that puts you in the NCAA tournament conversation heading into Big East play, which is all you can really ask for.
Yeah, in position to be in position.
Right.
And the Big East is a gauntlet, and they didn't do a very good job of winning Big East games last year, despite entering conference play at 8-3. So it is one of those things where it's a really nice start, but even like if you lose this game tonight, you've done less than you did through the Big East Big 12 battle last year, because you beat Kansas State in the Big East Big 12 battle last year and also got a couple wins in the MTE Feast Week like realm. So it was an important win for Butler in terms of keeping that momentum going and actually feeling like the resume is a step above what it was at this point. Last year, Chance McMillan was 7 of 25, the Grand Canyon transfer from the 3-point line heading into this year. That's a 44% 3-point shooter last year. 8 of 10 from the 3-point line, 24 points. Sure. Is that any good? 8 of 10?
I always love it when those shooters score all of their points from the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. It makes me very happy.
I haven't. I want to go back and see how many players scored 20 points or more for Butler last year, like on how many occasions. 3 different players have done it in the last 2 games for Butler. DJ Davis and Jamel Telford tonight, like you said. Pierre Brooks had 18 on 7 of 11 from the field, backing up back-to-back 25-plus point performances in Orlando over Thanksgiving. So the Bulldogs can score, that's for sure. And like I said, not very many teams. This was a good test for their offense in general against a well-coached, disciplined, good defense team in Texas Tech. And they're now a top 30 offense. I'm still a little skeptical about the defense, but we'll see. It'll get there. But still a solid win for Butler.
At this point, you just got to celebrate. And as Butler grads, we know this. You just got to celebrate being really good on one end of the floor, because it's been bad on both ends the past couple seasons.
Indeed. They were 223rd offensively last year.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I think 224, excuse me. The offense was solid. Excuse me, the defense. 55th, we'll take it. Anyways, anything
I didn't
else?
think it was that good, to be honest. Okay.
It was actually not bad. It actually wasn't bad. But it didn't matter because they couldn't throw the basketball into the ocean last year. Josh, anything else before we get out of here?
Good weekend coming up.
Indeed.
As the Big East Big 12 battle continues, and we'll be back to recap it all on Sunday.
Really nice night of college hoops tomorrow. You've got some Big Ten action. Purdue at Northwestern. Houston is at Xavier. Of course, the big one is UConn and Kansas. But some solid basketball to kick off the weekend tomorrow, and kind of mixed in with all the college football that's going to go on this weekend. That's all we have for you for the Under 8 podcast for Thursday, November 30th. It is almost 11:45 on Thursday night. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your shows. Follow the Under 8 pod on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.